and to weave the round, and to explode punches in the opening.
I remember Cus showing him how to throw the uppercut with the proper snap, and Mike would come right over here in the mirror and just practice it for like, you know, round after round.
With D'Amato as the teacher, Tyson became an obsessive student of boxing. Not just technique, its history. While in the gym, he practiced D'Amato's peekaboo style, fighting with one's hands high, as if in a defensive screen. At home, he would spend even more time practicing moves, as he had late into the night in the reform school. And his spare time would be dedicated to studying old boxing films.
That's it, there you go. Now you got, again. Who's the last guy to stop? Time.
Teenaged Mike Tyson had found something at which he could excel, and for which he would win praise and recognition. But flashes of his life on the street shone through.
If I think about where I'm going to hit him and how many times I'm going to hit him, I have everything planned ahead of time. And if I know, if I hit him in the body once and I see that hurts, I'm going to hit him in the body at least 20 more times. And then if he's still up after the 20 more times, I'm going to hit him to the head.
In '84, when he graduated to the senior division, where he was fighting guys, he was fighting men. He would be fighting men that, you know, and he was beating them.
Started his boxing comeback with a series of 4 impressive victories. Tyson went out of the gym, was alone and isolated.
Cus D'Amato brought 2 trainers into Tyson's life, Teddy Atlas and Kevin Rooney.
I met Tyson in Catskill, New York with Cus D'Amato. I was up there training fighters. I was training all the fighters for Cus D'Amato. I was training at the time when Bobby Stewart, who was a correction officer in a youth prison near Albany, called up Cus and asked him if I would take a look at this young kid named Mike Tyson. Found out that Stewart was a former fighter, which he was, pro and amateur. Stewart showed him a couple of things, and Tyson became very energized and very excited about the prospect of maybe learning how to box. And when he found out he was friendly with Cus, Tyson was excited that he might have an opportunity to come in and meet Cus.
In his 70s, when he met Tyson, D'Amato believed he'd found the kid who once again could put Cus on a championship track.
We trained him, myself and Teddy, at the beginning. We trained him steadily until finally started to get boxing, and then he developed the ability to slip punches and so forth. When he got to the point where slipping punches, we had a difficult time getting people to box with him because he proved to be a very hard puncher with both hands.
Tyson was like a sponge, and he just absorbed everything that Cus had to teach him. You know, the head movement, throwing the punches with bad intention, the proper snap. And I recall Mike, you know, practicing for long, sustained periods of time, 10, 15 minutes, in the mirror, just throwing like the right uppercut or left hook, just over and over and over.
That's it, there you go. Now you got, again. Who's the last guy to stop? Time. Very good, that's what I mean.
He suffered in silence. That, you know, I think that Tyson turned the hurtfulness and the sorrow into some vicious anger, because he started knocking guys. He was knocking guys out in the gym, and I think that he actually turned inward and had it work for him. That's what I believe happened.
Rooney was a wonderful trainer for him. Kevin Rooney loved him. But Don King made him fire Kevin Rooney. And I think the day Tyson fired Kevin Rooney, there was a cap put on Mike Tyson's development as a fighter.
His story, a work in progress. The final acts are still being written.
He had to be ferocious. He went after Bobby. He was very strong. And Bobby had to open up to keep him in his place from overwhelming him. And Bobby said every time he hit me, he hurt me.
He was perfect. He was aggressive as hell.
And a change happened in Mike. Through boxing, he obviously became more proud of himself and sure of himself.
That's a good body right hand to the jaw.
That's somewhere I just like being. I like being sometimes a little arrogant, a little bit, not much, just a little bit, and, you know, a little spoiled. I like that. That's me, and it's always going to be me. I'm not going to try to change it for nobody.
Obviously a prodigy. It was like the first time I saw John Coltrane, or the first time I saw Bruce Springsteen, or the first time I read Norman Mailer, or the first time I saw Baryshnikov. It was clear this was somebody special.
Jim Mike fought like a wildcat, always, no matter who he was with. He would try to knock out anybody, no matter who it was. Mike used to knock out somebody every day of the week, sometimes two guys.
Good stretch, get a good stretch.
I believe that if you give him any kind of time, he's already been in the reformatory, if you let him run wild up in the Catskill area, Albany, so forth, he's going to get in trouble. We're not looking.
That's it. Very good, very good.
Jimmy and Bill Caton knew what they were doing with Mike Tyson. And if they said, Kevin Rooney is your man, he's going to train you. Greatest trainer who has ever come into the sport of boxing.
You honestly believe now you're going to be the heavyweight champ, don't you?
Most definitely. Like, I know Tuesday follow Monday.
Got involved in the fighter's personal life.
Move your head, move your head. Move your head. Move your head, Mike. You got to score a punch when you get into that. So score a punch like you're doing the amateur. See that? Tell me something, Gus. Stay close to him so he can't uppercut. He was 13 and a half years old, I believe. We trained him steadily. When he got to the point of slipping punches, we had a difficult time getting people to box with him because he proved to be a very hard puncher with both hands. Move your head.
It's the little things, the discipline that, you know, that Cuss was instilling in him. You got to do this, you got to do this. Then come to the gym, go home and go to bed.
His pro career in late '84, but he had hurt his finger in training one day. So Mike came into the city, and for 1 week, Mike stayed with
Head. Keep the head down when you come up with the H. Keep your head down. Yeah, I mean, it's not coming up, but it's starting to come up. You can make it perfect. It's good, but it's not perfect. I don't succeed when I make a guy or help a guy become champion of the world. I succeed when I make that fellow become champion of the world and independent of me.
Make sure you put down the next heavyweight champ. Yeah. And that's you.
Thank you.
We decided the time was at hand for the marketing of Mike with a technique that had never been used before. We prepared cassettes of all of Mike's fights and sent those cassettes with a covering letter to the top sports writers and top television personalities throughout the country.
People wouldn't want to be in my shoes. They really think so because they say, wow, I can make money, I can get rich. But if they have to go through some of the things I have to go through, I think they would cry. Sometimes it's so depressing you got to go through. They always want something. They want to find a way to get your money. It's always people just as hard as you work in a gym, there's people working that hard to separate you from your money.
I don't really know if I want to sign this document because Bill would really know more about the business than Robin would add on. But Mike, your son, our son, Mike, your son. Now Mike is all kinds of screwed up. I better sign it. My son, I don't want to hurt my son. It was a brilliant move, brilliant by Robin, to get Mike to do whatever had to be done.
23戦目ウィリアム・ボスイ戦であります。これもニューヨーク。そしてこのジム風景なんですが、レポーターの小泉さんいろいろ説明してください。お願いします。
これグラマシージムっていうところでやってるんですが、はい、今タイソンはこれサウスポーでやってるんですね。小さい方がタイソンです。でなかなかスピードがありますね。
そして亡くなったカス・ダマトさん、
はい、これはタイソンのトレーナーでありマネージャーであり先生ですね。
昨年の11月にその恩師を肺炎で亡くしましたマイク・タイソンなんですが、はい、そしてこのトレーニングすごいですね。
これはですね、ニューヨーク市の郊外にあるそのキャットスキルトレーニングキャンプなんですね。ジャクソンって言われてる選手ですね。
恩師カス・ダマト、昨年11月に亡くしております。このタイソン黙祷して練習。
そうなんです。練習の最初はですね、その壁に貼ってある写真に黙祷してから練習を始めるんですね。
あれ、小泉さんだ。
はい。タイソンがですね、我々スタッフに一緒に練習するかって声かけられたんで、よし、じゃあ一緒にやろうって言うんで、田中ディレクターと一緒にですね、動いたんですね。2時間びっちりやられましたね。
タイソンのトレーニング、練習の何かこう、大きな特徴といったようなものがありました？
非常にスピードを重視するタイプですね。連打して、それからサイドステップ、そういう練習をよくやりますね。ヘビー級の割にはなかなかスピードがあります。
What does it take for a real knockout puncher to get the job done?
Well, there's a certain kind of knockout punches. There's something, being a big man really doesn't matter. It has no significance in knocking out someone. The main point is the quickness and what you throw the punches and the leverage is what you have in the shoulder snap. And the object of really knocking out an individual is throwing a punch where he can't see. And when there's combination punches, and when you throw punches and you keep his mind preoccupied with the body punches, and the other two punches that come to the head are the knockout punches. And then again, there's one-punch knockout punches, which they throw one punch to the body, boom, boom, and then the other punch to the head, which again, the opponent's mind is so preoccupied on the one punch, which rattles him just a little bit, and then that's when the other punch comes in.
Now, what I see in what you're saying is one, getting the shoulder in. A lot of fighters are arm punches. And secondly, the quickness so that the opponent doesn't see the punch, and that's what knocks him out. He's not prepared for it.
Absolutely.
Guided by the teachings of the master, Mike Tyson set about changing his life, and in time, the entire boxing world.
But you aim it here and bring the same hand. When he gets here, he's liable to bring it down. Even if he's got his life, bring it down, bang, over here. Bang, with the left hook here or here. And you get hit, bang, you get excited, and your head comes up your hands. When you get hit, that's when you got to be calm. You got to be clever, you got to be smart, and not get hit. And when you're able to do this, you're a fighter.
What was right and what was wrong. On his way to an amateur record.
I was running a gym in Catskill with Customato. I was doing the training.
They wanted him active and in the gym, either training all the time or going into the ring to fight. Was that, I think...
And Mike wasn't afraid of anybody. Cus had immediately spotted him as a future world champ. Tyson turned pro at 18 and knocked down whoever stood in front of him.
Boxer. He could jab, he could move.
He had a style that was created that made him exceptionally elusive and exceptionally difficult to hit. So that if you threw a punch, not only did you miss, but you were punished for even throwing a punch.
I used to see him in the gym, knocking people out, knocking guys out. Bah!
They started bringing in professional fighters for Mike to spar with. That was the only way you could really get a chance to test all of this mechanism that was going on.
Here, Mike is 14 years old, and I'm 25. Thought I was the man. I learned the hard way with Mike. Once that bell rang, it was time to go to war.
And the way to get experience in boxing.
Be champ of the world someday. Just keep your mind where it's supposed to be.
Each week I teach him something new. First week I teach him how to slip punch. Second week I teach him how to weave hooks. Each time he come back, you could see he learned real fast because he was interested.
Straight over, nice and straight.
You could punch him because now you had the ability to be a world champion fighter. And Cus was playing a dangerous game, I thought.
knockouts continue.